Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Max Frequency Podcast, episode 11. I'm your host, Max Roberts, and I want to jump right into it. My guest this time is Phil Summers. And if you're not, you're like, who's Phil Summers? Phil Summers is the guy behind the hand-drawn game guides. He's done Contra, Ninja Gaiden, and then he did The Legend of Zelda, and now he is doing Metroid. These beautiful, as you could guess from the name, hand-drawn video game guides that are unofficial and unauthorized. And he's gracious enough to take time out of his evening to talk to me. And so, Phil, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Thank you again so much. I want to say,
yeah, no problem.
Right off the top, I am a backer.
All right. Excellent.
I did. I was actually on my way back from the office and pulled over in my apartment complex parking lot and hit the button right there. So
wow. Well, thank you.
Yes, I'm at the 3-book bundle. I wanted a
okay, cool.
I thought the Zelda hardcover and the fold out maps. I kind of actually had the idea to frame them and stuff, but
oh wow.
I guess just dive right into you launched this Kickstarter on, I don't even remember, the 5th, right? August 5th.
Yeah, 6th, last Friday.
6th, last Friday. A goal of $20,000.
Yes.
You met it in 2 minutes.
Yes.
It's currently sitting at just shy of $200,000. It's not even been a week yet. How does that make you feel?
I don't know yet. It's I feel like it hasn't hit me yet. I don't know. It's very surreal. That's the way I keep describing it. It doesn't feel real yet. I guess I'm also still living in fear that this thing's gonna be canceled. So I have that constantly lurking over me. But it's crazy. I mean, I would never have expected it for sure.
Well, when you say canceled, you just fear that the mighty hammer of Nintendo is gonna come down.
Oh yeah, or any of them. Konami, not Capcom, Tecmo.
Yeah.
It could be any. But we'll see. They haven't gotten me yet, and I feel like when they strike, they strike early. So
I feel like you would have heard from them by now.
I would like to think so. Yeah, I'm sure. So I guess I played it right. That's why I said unofficial and unauthorized probably like 500 times throughout the video and the actual campaign text.
Yeah, I actually, so I was looking at my game guides, well, when I was moving and stuff, and a buddy of mine gave me like a small little collection of some Metal Gear Solid stuff, and he had 2 guides for Metal Gear Solid 1, and one was the official sanctioned, I think from Brady Games.
Yeah,
guide.
The white cover.
Yeah, and then the other one was the unofficial and unauthorized, and it's kind of cool to see it brought back in a way. Because game guides, any that are really produced these days, are all officially sanctioned and are in hardcover typically, in these, big collectors. It's kind of gone into that direction, and it's kind of nice to see unofficial and unauthorized ones come back in a way.
Yeah, no, I would never expect it to be here, as far as just like, here I am making these strategy guides. But no, I think people kind of like that indie approach to it,
Mm-hmm. So let's look. I want to go back. Sure. I have the dates written down here. So Contra, if my creeping through like Instagram to find the dates and stuff, Contra was like April 2018, around there. And then Ninja Gaiden, or Gaiden, depending on, I suppose, when you grew up and if you played the games, was February 2019. And then the Zelda Guide was last June 2020. And then now we have Metroid, which, based off the Kickstarter, sounds like a goal of February 22.
Yeah. So Ninja Gaiden actually, so there's 2 dates for Ninja Gaiden.
Ooh.
Came out in December of 2018. I got that and Contra together the same year, but I had a very, very small print run of it in February.
So it's like a guide a year. but you've gone up as far as, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like the scope of the games, not so much the guide production, but the games themselves, complexity, maps. I can only imagine the Metroid map.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's like Contra. I chose Contra on purpose. I mean, aside from the fact that I absolutely love Contra, it's probably one of my favorite NES games. It's so short. It's only like, 8 stages. They're not very long. You can get through the game in like 20 minutes if you're good at it. So it just felt like the perfect thing to kind of just try out and see how. I mean, really, the idea wasn't even so much like I want to make more of these. It was just like I would just like to try it once, and I'm just going to pick a short game because I know I could get through a short game. That was kind of the approach, and then they got bigger and bigger from there as I got better at it, I guess.
Yeah, almost like you were. I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but like building confidence to a certain degree to like tackle bigger, more complicated games, bigger projects,
Right, and it's a challenge. Like I need to challenge myself each time. Like I feel like now, especially now, I feel like they all need to have they all need to have some kind of specific angle that kind of makes them unique.
So like for Zelda, what was the angle?
So Zelda's like the storybook, like just how it looks like you're reading a story when you're between the maps, right? That's what was different there. With Ninja Gaiden, it was pretty straightforward, like Contra, but I added in, and it's it's a minor feature, but I wanted to Ninja Gaiden cinematic, so I thought, how can I link to these cutscenes, especially as I played the game. The story is like, I mean, I love the story because I love Ninja Gaiden, but it's not great. You don't really, things are just kind of happening because there wasn't much they could work with. Maybe the localization wasn't great. It could be any of those things. So I thought, well, it'd be cool if I could like kind of flesh out what's happening in these cutscenes, and that's when I started doing it. And that's when I came up with the journal entries idea. And then I also, from there, I thought, well, it'd be awesome if I wrote this from Ryu's perspective. Maybe it's just like this little diary he kept on himself during his adventure. So, they all kind of have a different spin. And Metroid's it's kind of like a comic book. When you open it up, I've been hiding a lot of the comic book stuff. But when you open it up, it's kind of like you're reading a comic.
I get that vibe from some of the art that you have presented. Like, I remember, I'm looking at it now, but I do remember when you showed this image off before of like the screw attack, and it does have a comic booky vibe to it. So I see that's actually, so how did comic book and Metroid link together for you?
I just felt like that was something unique I could do. It wasn't, there was no like, Metroid's like a comic. I had the idea because I would love to do like Double Dragon 2 one day maybe. And when I was thinking of Double Dragon 2, because it has like the comic book kind of cutscenes, I thought it'd be awesome if I made Double Dragon 2 in like a comic book. And then who knows if I'll ever make Double Dragon 2. So I kind of still liked that idea, and I just kind of applied it to Metroid.
Yeah. So these stretch goals, which kind of ties into just absolutely crushing the $20,000 goal. I mean, the Kickstarter launches, you've got the whole plan. My apologies to the listener. I don't even think I've really explained like the Kickstarter too well. It's these guides, but they're hardcover books this time around instead of being printed, like a paperback book. They're these. I've missed. What's the size? Is there like a dimension like width and height?
I didn't put the size on there, but they're going to be about the same size as the paperback, which is like 5.5 by 8.25, because that's the size of the notebooks. So they're the size of the notebooks. Sized.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're these beautiful books, but hardcover this time, which seems really exciting and stuff. And you had some stretch goals that tie into that hardcover aesthetic. 25K was the gold foil, and then custom leaf illustration, Zelda second quest map, gold gilded edges, and then the last cover. So 2 minutes for 20,000, and I think it took between an hour and two to get through 60.
Yeah.
Did you?
Did not.
Yeah,
did not expect that. Didn't expect that problem.
And I remember when we were talking, you were on vacation when this had launched. I think actually you and your publisher, was it Dream Prison Press? Both of you were on vacation when this. Like, how did that go? I mean, obviously you didn't expect it, but
I mean, of course it was weird because so we knew that was going to happen. But I really wanted to have it on Metroid's 35th anniversary. That was like super important to me to hit that date. So we had everything pretty much buttoned up before we left. So throughout the week, I tried to drum up interest, and I would email some people and whatnot. But really, all I had to do was just hit the button on Friday because everything was together. So yeah, I hit the button, and it was just, it was kind of weird. My family was around, like some of them are out. And I talked to David from Dream Prism, and we were just like, holy crap, can't believe this is happening. So it was really strange. And I kind of watched it in disbelief. I kind of didn't know how to like respond to it. My plan was I was immediately going to get on there and start handling comments and questions and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just found myself like not able to do anything. I was just like, this is so crazy. Like, I don't even know how to like respond. So thankfully David, the professional, was on there, and he was handling all sorts of questions and comments. And that was a very big help because I was just kind of, I guess I was just kind of floored, and I didn't really know what to do.
I mean, I was floored for you. I knew like based off of, I think the demand that I've seen for the Zelda guide in the past year, because you've done at least one other batch of them. I feel like you've done maybe 2 or 3. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I've done, I think, 4 batches of Zelda. I did. Yeah, I did 100. I did 200. I was able to do. Then I was able to do 500, and then I did 1,200 Zeldas at the end of the last year. So I shipped about 2,000 Zelda books all of last year.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, which is kind of crazy because I didn't expect it. I mean, that's why I printed 100 of them because I only had the money to print 100 of them. But aside from that, I didn't think people would really be that interested to buy it because I made a very small run of Ninja Gaiden. I think I only had 75 of those. And it took me about 3 months to sell them. And I understand Zelda is way more popular than Ninja Gaiden, but I don't have a huge following or anything. My following has doubled since then, like on Twitter. But
sure,
it people kept saying, if you make this, I'm going to buy it. If you make this, I'm going to buy it. And then I made it, and some of them, bought it.
Some bought it, but
but it didn't blow out, right? So I just kind of expected that with Zelda. My thought was just like, I'll be lucky if I sell 100 of these things. And I sold them in like a minute. So I was not expecting that.
I mentioned, so when you announced that you were going to do the Kickstarter, I wrote an article on the site just to share it. And I was tweeting with you, and I was super lucky to be one of the first 100. I don't know how it happened because I was actually out with my family that day, my parents and my wife, and we had like gone to the store, and we were pulling up into my parents' driveway at, I don't remember what time it launched. Let's say noon.
It was noon. Yeah.
So say it was like 11:58. We pull in the driveway. I'm like, I really want to try and get this. So I just walked into the house, sat down at a table in their living room, and make sure I was on their network. And I went to Gum Road? Gum Drive?
Yep.
Yeah, Gum Road.
Gum Road.
And I'm like hitting the buy button, and it went through, and I was like, sweet. And then I realized later that they had sold out practically instantly.
Yeah. It was instant.
Which is, I mean, that's got to feel good. Kind of, you tell me, is it a similar feeling? Similar feeling to crushing, $60,000 in an hour?
Yes and no. I mean, I was still kind of in disbelief then too. Yeah. But it was crazy. Like, I didn't expect the next day to do pre-orders for 200 of them, right? Like, everything happened so fast. And I didn't expect to do 500 of them later, right? Like, it was just all, I wasn't sure how many people were interested in this. And even when I did that last batch of them, I moved all of them in less than a week. But I just felt like, well, I think I probably saturated that market of anybody that is interested in at least Zelda, right? So,
yeah.
But apparently I did not. Apparently people still want Zelda.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that leads us to why I did the Kickstarter, because I couldn't. There's just no way I could have fulfilled all these things myself. I didn't work on a guide for about 6 months because I wrapped up Zelda in May, or actually April, because it took me like 2 months to prepare it. So I didn't touch working on Metroid until January of the following year. So just dealing with and shipping Zelda took up all that time. So, working with David and using Kickstarter, in theory, everything will be very easy. I won't have 1 million books coming to my house, for example. We'll have people helping out and facilities, fulfilling orders and all that kind of stuff. So it's able to really see like what the demand is for this kind of a product. And apparently there is a demand for it because a lot of people want them. So
how did you end up partnering with Dream Prism and stuff? Because I recognize them from another Kickstarter, which was this ukulele comic book.
Yes.
I remember that launching. So how did you partner up with them for these?
So David reached out to me, I think the first day Zelda happened, or the second day after the pre-orders, and all he wrote was, "It looks like you need help." And then I was just like, "No, I think I got it." And then there was a couple more emails back and forth throughout those months, and then I just said to him like, "Look, ultimately, I'd love to do a Kickstarter, so maybe we can talk when it's time to do the Kickstarter." And that was really how it happened. Pretty simple.
So I guess because he reached out to you to do that, because I wrote like a history of Naughty Dog during the PS4 era. I called it Chasing the Stick, and for fun, I looked up like printing my own copy for myself, just me. I gave the whole thing away. It's online, you can read or listen to it for free, but I wanted my own copy, and so like I ended up at Barnes and Noble and paying like $20, and so just I don't know. In my head, book publishing's really hard.
Yes, it is really hard. It's extremely hard. I wouldn't know what I was doing if I didn't have his help. I would have no idea what I'm doing. I would probably just continue doing it the way I was doing it, which was not very efficient.
And just is all showing up at your house.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, I wouldn't have had anywhere to put it. Like seriously, there would be nowhere to put it. Yeah, so that was another reason. That's the thing that people don't think about, right? Like when I did Zelda originally, they were just like, just open the pre-orders for like a week or a month.
Oh my gosh!
Just get all the pre-orders, and you'll have all the money. And it's just like, okay, well, I don't know how many people are like. What if I have to ship? If I have 5,000 books? I don't know. Like, where am I going to put 5,000 books? That's a lot of people don't think about exactly what that looks like. And then it's not even just 5,000 books. Then it's 5,000 mailers and 5,000 other pieces of supplies and all this and that. And like another thing, I had like the little bookmark in all the books. I was cutting those all myself. So it's like, now I would have to cut 5,000 bookmark. Like, so it's easy for people, and I'm glad they're excited and they wanted it that much. But it's easy to just be like, yeah, just get the money and order it. But when you really start to think about it, it's like, this is not actually possible to do for this many people. So that was the big dilemma.
People really don't grasp, because even as you're saying it, I'm thinking you have all the little packing envelopes, tape.
Yep.
You've got to print out every single address.
Oh, that was
like sticker.
That was terrible. That was terrible, by the way, because in the beginning I was just using like my laser printer.
Oh my gosh.
And buying those sheets of paper that just have like the two labels on them, and I was printing and the paper was getting jammed all the time. I mean, it was and I was blowing through cartridges. I think I would blow through one ink cartridge every like 50 pages, and it was ridiculous. Or 70 pages, I forget what the number was. It was,
too much.
Fair amount. So yeah, and then like that was crazy, and then it would jam up, and it would forget where it was, and that in itself was just such a nightmare that I ended up buying. Well, then once I got the money from all the sales, I bought a Rollo printer. I cannot recommend this thing enough. Like if somebody listening sells things on like eBay or just whatever, get a Rollo thermal printer. It's like $200, and it's got these little labels. The little labels, like the stickers, and it just spits them out in like a second. It's awesome. It uses no ink. They just fly out. It was like the best thing I ever bought. Like I had it for when I did that last batch of Zelda, the 1200, and it was amazing. I just printed like 1,000 labels out of this thing in like I just had they were just falling onto the floor, and it just did its thing for like a half hour. It was the best. So. Yeah, there's just so many little pieces that, of course, you don't think about because everyone, myself included, everyone's just so used to hitting the order button, and you don't really think about what happens between those transactions. So
it's just one person on the end of it in this case,
right?
Packing,
right, because we're so used to just like, we're kind of just used to the Amazon thing, right? You order the thing, you get free shipping, and it arrives like the next day. So we're all kind of spoiled.
on some level, absolutely. I bought something today from Amazon, and it'll be here tomorrow. And, it's just.
Yeah, and then if it's not there tomorrow, you're going to be annoyed.
I am. It's so interesting because even so, like the estimated delivery date right now, February 2022. Yeah. But my brain, because this is a Kickstarter, it's a project that's being handled by a smaller team than Amazon. Like I understand that it could come later. It could come earlier, like it's just in flux, but I don't know, because I guess I'm aware of that. My brain is like, it'll get here when it gets here. There's another book I bought last year that theoretically is coming sometime at the end of this year. I don't know, but I'm totally fine waiting longer if I have to. But if I don't know, maybe it's just because I have this perspective of these are made by a person. I don't know. It's just it's fascinating the shopping and if platform.
It's like right. I mean, I feel like people that if they're using Kickstarter, they are used to this idea that this thing doesn't exist yet. It's going to be a while. So I think people that are used to Kickstarter they probably are used to that in regards to those sorts of projects that they support. But yeah, if I can deliver before February, that'd be incredible. I just put February because I thought a 6-month window was pretty safe. So I should be able to ship within that time. That would be amazing. But who knows? You never know what kind of problems could pop up. Maybe the printer does everything wrong. Maybe when my books are being freighted across the ocean, they get stuck in a canal. Like it could literally be anything, right? So you never know. You never know what'll happen.
Yeah, you definitely don't. What do you? So you've kind of teased it a little bit, you and Dave over at Dream Prison. Yep. Do you have more stretch goals?
Yeah. So I don't want to announce them here.
No, yeah. You've got a campaign to run. I just wanted to know if there were more.
Yeah, we have. I believe we have 3. That could change. Okay. It could be less. I don't think it's going to be more. But I believe we have 3 of them coming up. Cool. We are planning to share them next Friday, the 20th.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
Yeah, that's going to be the plan because we have to get stuff together for it and everything. So.
Oh yeah, of course.
Getting ourselves a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll still just be like halfway through the campaign at that point. So it is.
Yeah.
Do you have an end? like number you think you'll hit now, as far as now that it's in kind of that mid-campaign, just steady lull?
Oh yeah.
Do you have like an idea of what you're gonna hit, or is it just still too much to even like think of a number to close on?
I'm not sure what we'll hit, and I don't want to say what I think we might hit. But I think I have a figure in mind, and apparently, like with Kickstarters, you actually do get your final days. You always get like a big boost. Apparently, that's like a known thing. And then it's possible that like whatever we do with these stretch goals, that could add a little more like excitement to it. So we'll see what happens. But I'm at the point now where I am completely satisfied. Like nothing else has to happen, right? Like it was a huge success. And we have a lot of work to do. So at this point, I'm at a point where like, to me, it doesn't even matter. It could, you know what I mean? It could just, if it hits 200,000 tomorrow or Saturday or whatever, and it stayed there, that would be great. So, I don't know. I have no idea where it'll end up.
I'm excited
we have
to
stretch
see where
goals.
it goes.
Yeah, I mean, we have stretch goals. They're going to be pretty lofty, I think, because the other ones were just so, they were so small and they were barely they were barely stretch goals, right? It was like they didn't even exist. So these ones have a little more weight to them, and they may not happen. So we'll find out.
I'm excited to see them, whatever they may be, and just to watch your numbers go up.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about them, for most of them, I have that idea where I want everything to add value to what everybody's getting. So if you spent just $25, when we hit these stretch goals, it's going to affect your pledge. So you'll get more. That's my whole like philosophy behind it.
I like that philosophy.
Yeah, because I just feel like if somebody just went in there and they ordered their $25 book, and then all of a sudden when it arrives, maybe they're not even paying attention anymore, and it arrives and it's just this thing that they didn't expect. I just think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
so
a nice surprise for everyone, and like it doesn't exclude people, especially from the limited tiers. You had 2 limited tiers, which included like personal sketches or concept art, and it's not like these new stretch goals will only benefit those higher tiers, even the ones that no one can get anymore, because that wouldn't feel good.
I wouldn't be happy with that. Yeah.
That's nice. So, I mean, it is. It really. You're thinking of the consumer on the whole. You're thinking of the consumer from the $25 book all the way up to the $125, super 50 limited run there. Like, that's a really. I think it almost feels like you are doing this by yourself, like the Zelda. Or even the Ninja Gaiden or the Contra, like these, it feels personal, and that's beyond it being hand drawn by you, which I want to talk about. It just, the way that you seem to be running this feels personal, like an actual exchange between myself, because I'm a backer, and you, and that's nice. I really genuinely appreciate that. I think it's a really smart way to handle running a campaign.
Cool. Well, thank you. I mean, I'm handling it the way that, I don't know, I guess that I would expect. I don't, expect me to someone to handle whatever whatever I support. At least that's how I'm trying to look at it. I completely worded that terribly, but
no,
you get the idea.
I do. I pick it up. I pick up what you're throwing down. Now I want to pick your brain specifically about Metroid, because that's the new book. And I mean, Metroid is my favorite Nintendo franchise. And so just, having that be done is great alone. But why did you pick Metroid?
So it kind of goes back to Zelda. One of the things is like, look, I know there's strategy guides, but like I never really expected people to actually use them. And when Zelda happened, and I saw people using them, I thought that was so cool. Like, it was something I didn't expect. Even though I put a lot of thought into what would happen if someone used it, I really didn't expect anybody to use it. So when I started seeing like streamers and all that kind of stuff, or people sending me their pictures that they beat the game with the book, I thought that was really cool. And then I just thought, well, what's like another game that would benefit from this? And then I just thought, well, Metroid. I love Metroid. It's like one of my favorites. And I feel like the NES game, people kind of rag on it a little bit, but I still believe that NES game is awesome. So I just thought maybe I can get some people to play Metroid. And that was really the reason I picked it.
Is that also why you don't have any, at least as far as you've said, and I don't believe there is, but no Zero Mission stuff in here at all? This is strictly the original Metroid game, right?
Yeah, it's the original Metroid. So, yeah, I did have some people ask, like, could you play Zero Mission with it? And you can't. I'm sure you know the answer to that.
Yes.
No way. They're like totally different games, right? And look, the reason I'm sticking to NES games is because of the scale. They are smaller. Mm-hmm. And, the other thing too is like Zero Mission. I love Zero Mission, but it points you in the right direction. It tells you where to go. The game itself guides you around, right? So Metroid still kind of relies on something. If someone plays that game, they've never played it before, they're going to do either one of two things. They're going to get frustrated and they're not going to play it anymore. They'll be like, I guess that was kind of cool to mess around with. Or they're going to be like, I want to beat this game. I'm going to look up a map or a guide. Like, they'll get into it and they'll try and figure it out that way. So, that's another reason why I would choose this and have chose this over Zero Mission. Aside from the fact I'm just trying to keep it NES for now.
Yeah, keep it a bit more doable, like in the sense of just the scale, like because obviously as time has gone on, games have gotten bigger and more complicated. I'm just saying this because it popped in my head, and I know it's a big game, but like if Symphony of the Night, that's a game where you have to do it twice, and it's like 400%, and there's a castle, and then you'd have to draw it upside down, and it's like, oh my gosh,
that game would murder me. All the little items, all the little trinkets, all the hit points for the bad guys, all these things, right?
All the wall turkeys.
That would kill me.
Please don't do that. Much.
But I would love to do Castlevania 2 because Castlevania 2 is totally doable. So,
and it's on the NES.
Yep, exactly.
So we were talking a little bit before the show, and I was sharing with you that I used to do freelance guide writing for IGN.
Yeah.
But as a guide writer, it's changed the way that I play games, where I'm like, this looks like a secret could be over here. I'm going to go do this instead, or go there and do that. Mm-hmm. Like I can't play a game normally, I don't think, anymore.
Well, that's just your game brain. That's your game brain working. You've played so many games. Like I've noticed this when I play games with like my kids, and this has been before I started doing this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We'll be playing some Mario game together or whatever, and I go over there. There's a secret. And like, we never played the game before. Like, how do you know? I'm like, because I just know the secret is there. Like, you could just tell by the way it's decorated or whatever. And like, it's just because we've played so many games, right? Like, we know all the tells. We know what to look for. So I think that's mainly your. I'm sure the guides, when you were writing guides, probably did sort of train you a little bit there, but I think it's also we've just played so many games that we're just kind of used to the way they work, which is why Metroid just baffles people, because the secrets are not the kind of secrets we're used to. It's like you come to some floor and I guess you can bomb it, and all of a sudden you can bomb it, right? So
there's no tells at all, really.
No. In Metroid, in Zero Mission, the hole you can bomb probably has like a little crack in it, So they have nothing like that.
How old are your kids?
They actually just turned 11. No, that's fine. They just turned 11. Yep.
Have you play tested your guides on them?
No. I mean, they're kind of interested in looking at them, but neither of them really care. They'd both rather just play Minecraft.
A guide for that would also probably be far too daunting.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I have never played Minecraft, but from what I understand, it's pretty huge in scope. So,
Oh yes, there's a lot happening there. I have really not played it myself. I played it like briefly with them, like just in the create mode, but I have watched countless hours of Minecraft, so yeah, it's pretty deep.
I bet. So, how do you approach? I guess I want to start with writing specifically because that's the one part of this that we have in common. It's just like, how do you come? I guess because for Metroid's sake, it's a comic book style. How do you approach writing and actually guiding people through the game? You know?
So I made, I just made an outline of how I would play through the game. And then I played through the game with my outline, just like get this item first, get that, like literally just a bullet list of points I have to hit. Right. And then, as I was going through those points, I would make my notes, be like, this is a pain point or this is hard. Maybe I should guide the player a different way. So I basically just made my whole outline that way. And then after I made my outline, I beat the game again with the outline. And I thought, okay, this is good. I can make something with this. And then from there, I had to take the maps and figure out how to kind of chunk them up and what made sense from what area you're in or, whatever. And I tried to minimize backtracking. You're going to be doing tons of backtracking, but I don't show much of the backtracking. I kind of lead you onto where you should go. So a lot of the maps, the way they work is my main path is very clearly defined. And then anything around that where I'm not really concerned if you go there or not, it is like the drawings are very like almost kind of sketchy and they're not clearly defined. So that was how I kind of handled the maps. Of course, you have like a regular map of Zeebs. So if anybody needs to actually like consult the big map, they'll have that. But for the sake of the guide, I'm really just showing like the path that I kind of want the player to take. And then from there, I just kind of, everything that was written, I'm just kind of writing it from like Samus's perspective. Like, what is she thinking about this? Or, how would she talk about this? And I made her kind of fun. I guess she's kind of like how I'd like to see Samus. So hopefully people are happy with the way I wrote her. Cause I know that's like a whole can of worms right there, right?
Oh yeah, imparting your own interpretation of any character.
Yeah, and the book is going to open up with like a warning too, because I just want to cut it. Like I just want to nip it in the bud immediately. It does not follow Metroid lore, like at all. Like I'm treating it as if this is the only game in Metroid that exists. We don't really all we know about the story is what's in the beginning title screen and what you find in the instruction booklet. Like that's the way I'm treating it, because Metroid has, it's got like 35 years worth of lore, and some of it's kind of crazy. Like it's your favorite series, you said, so I'm sure that like there's things you could only know about Metroid from some obscure Japanese like manga of Metroid. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So there's all and that stuff. As big of a Metroid fan as I am, I can't keep up with all the lore. Like
yeah,
that stuff's beyond me. So I really and I did this with Zelda too, but Zelda you can get away with it because even though Zelda does have like an overarching lore, like the games are pretty self-contained for the most part, right? So
yeah, they kind of tacked that timeline on, and they just kind of made that.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
this is
I
it.
don't. Yeah, like I mean, I know the timeline's a thing and it's in that book, but like. And I'm obviously a huge Zelda fan. Like, I just don't care about it, right? Like, I just like the stories that are in the games. And if a game links up to another game, that's cool. Like Skyward Sword's the first game. I mean, is it? They'll come up on another one.
Yeah.
Another first one. Like, I don't care. So, I just love the games. So, yeah, that was what I did with Metroid. And I just, and the thing with Samus is I wanted her to be a bounty hunter. So, that was... Samus is such a weird character because like she's always saving the day and that's great and all, but at the end of the day she's a bounty hunter. Like she's doing this for money. And like the game's glossed over that, right? She's just like this superhero, as if she's rescuing everything from, you know, out of the goodness of her heart. So I kind of make her a little more, you know, she wants to get paid. So I tried to have fun with it, and hopefully people will enjoy that approach.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It sounds really fun and refreshing to kind of approach it in a game without baggage. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I want to talk about it a little bit later, but, you know, a Metroid Dread is coming out in October, and a lot of the conversation surrounding it right now is, why is there no official way to play Zero Mission, Fusion? Like, why can't I play these games on my Switch? Why? It's the top of the Wii U sales charts. Like, the Wii U is having a sales surge because it's the only official way to play these games. And it sounds kind of nice to just, this is Metroid, and this is all you need is just this game, and you can use this guide. It sounds nice.
You don't need to get, and the other thing too is it saves me trouble, because then if I did want to tie it into all the lore, the way everything works, the moment I slip up is when the real fans, they're going to know, and they're like, oh, this guy, you know, I can't believe he missed this detail. So, you know, I do have slight little details in there where it's like, oh, I guess I could see where he is maybe calling back to like a Metroid Prime game, maybe, you know? So, like, I mean, I can tell you now, like, I treat Mother Brain kind of like, I really like the idea of like the Aurora units in Metroid Prime 3. So, like, it kind of has that vibe to it. So, like, I do pull ideas, but I give it a different spin.
Yeah. You're making me more excited for it.
Oh, good.
So this is the part that I have, my drawing talent is limited to doodles in the margins of my notebook. And obviously you are a very talented artist, and I'm just super curious about like the creative process behind these guides, because I'm going to assume that it is not one notebook and you just go and, you know, draw in one note. I'm sure there are revisions upon revisions.
It's not that far off.
Really? I'm so fascinated. Like, how are these made from the art perspective?
So, if I handed you my original Contra book, it's exactly the same as like the PDF you get. Everything's in order. And you could do that with that, and you could do that with Ninja Gaiden. The only thing that's not in order with Ninja Gaiden is I made all the journal entries at the end. So if you went through my books, you would just go through all the stages, and then at the end, I have all the journal entries. With Zelda, I started out with all the dungeons. And that was actually, I got very stuck because I did all the dungeons, and then I didn't know how to string them together. And that was when I came up with the storybook idea. So all the dungeons are, if I hand you my actual book, all the dungeons are in order. And then all of the stuff that strings the adventure together is in order. And then with Metroid, the entire walkthrough is in order. And then like that one's really all over the place. That one's out of control. But the walkthrough itself, if I handed you the book, you could just play the game, turn from one page to the next to get through the walkthrough.
Huh. So are you like? I'm asking out of ignorance because is this all pencil at first, and then it looks like highlighter colors to me. How do you color these? Are you drawing this with pencil and then filling in the color later?
I do when you say there's revisions, of course, like I screw up on the page a million times, and if I screw up too much, then I have to move on and just use a new page, and I'll tear out the one or whatever. Sometimes, and this is one of the tiers that I'm giving out, like the concept art pages. That's where like I'll explore ideas and kind of like, if I don't know how to draw the monster, I'll figure out how to draw the monster. You know what I mean? And then I'll draw the final one in the book. So there's a fair amount of that. But I completely just lost my my train of thought there.
Just like the process of
so the process. I'm sorry. Yeah. So then, I pencil it all in, and then I ink it, and I erase all the pencil, and then I have a massive box of Copic markers, and I color them all in. And it's literally what you see in the PDF is almost exactly what exists for real, like what I made. I'll make edits sometimes. Like there's a couple pictures in all the books where maybe I wasn't happy the way I drew like a hand or something, and I'll digitally edit that, and I will hide it so that for the most part you can't tell. But yeah, generally for like they're almost exact.
That's incredible, because it's kind of back to that. It feels really personal is because these are, it's in the name. It feels silly to say, but these are hand drawn. Like, you took the time to design and to draw these. And as someone who is like, I really have I'm not a very good drawer. I don't want to say I can't draw. I can draw you like, a smiley face or something. But nothing like what you do. And it just seems so, I'm just really floored by it, and it makes it so fascinating to me. Just the creative process that goes into this. I'm looking through the Kickstarter pages here with just the art that you've uploaded, and it's the Brinstar West is just holy cow, dude! This is awesome.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for everybody to see like the rest of those. I've only showed 2 of these, and I think there's 6 of them in the book, like these big spreads. Yeah. So I hope everybody likes all the other ones, because they were fun to make. They were definitely a challenge. That's another thing too. I'm always trying to I want to challenge myself with these. So I suck at perspective. So I was like, you know what? These big spreads, I want to do some perspective work because I could use to learn how to do it. So that's the kind of thing that like I try and challenge myself with, because I don't, I want to grow from it. I don't want to just bang out something that's the same as the last one, and you get in a rut and you don't care anymore. So I try and think of ways to also just grow through doing it.
That you mentioned that earlier, like growing and learning and pushing yourself, challenging yourself, and I think that's part of why you've moved on to like each game is a little bit bigger and a little bit more difficult, so to speak, in scope and all of that, the process of it. Do you have ideas for just, you don't have to tell me what they are, but like I know you mentioned Double Dragon earlier, like, is there another guide after this that you're thinking about?
I'm really probably like 90% like Castlevania 2.
Yeah.
For the same reason as these ones, because everybody loves Castlevania, right? But then they're like, Castlevania 2 kind of sucks. But it's like, well, Castlevania 2 is kind of cool if you know what to do, right? Like, so it's a perfect game. And another idea I have actually for Castlevania 3, I have an idea for 1 too, and it's a little different. But for 3, 3 would be awesome if it was like a choose your own adventure, right? Like every time because you always have the branching paths, so it would be just like part of that challenge would
flip to this page.
Exactly, like part of that challenge would be like, how do I make it a choose your own adventure? How am I telling them what page to flip to? So that would be really fun to just kind of make like the flow chart of what that would look like. As I'm talking to you here, I really love the way that you think about these in a way to almost merge the video game with a written guide, which has been kind of a thing for a long time now, but merge it with literature in a way of, books that honestly probably would have been read by kids that were playing these games when they came out, comic books or storybooks or choose your own adventures. And now I'm like thinking, what if there was some of my favorite books growing up, Encyclopedia Brown, and I don't even know how you could apply that to a game, but like you go through, but then you flip to the back for the answer, so to speak. It just it seems so. It almost feels like you have so many options of how to merge literature with the game. Yeah, or even just like an idea, like my idea for Mega Man 2. I was like, how do I make Mega Man 2 interesting? And maybe this might be boring, but like to me it sounds cool. Like it would be awesome it just looked like you're looking through like blueprints. It's like I got a hold of Dr. Light and Dr. Wily's blueprints. So here's all the robots and here's the way they're laid out. Like I just think that would be so cool if that was like the feel of like a Mega Man book.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely my idea. So I have like tons of ideas. Am I ever going to make them? I don't know.
Would you ever do a game that's not on the NES?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I feel like there's so many on the NES that that could just keep me busy for like years. But
yeah.
I mean, sure, I would. Of course, I'd like. Well, everybody would love a Link to the Past, right? Like that would be huge. But
A Link to the Past would be very big. I mean, not to pile on to all of your requests, but I was looking through. I'm trying to pull it back up now. My purchase came with the digital PDF of the Zelda one, and there's a piece of art. I'm gonna find that page. Gosh darn it! In the PDF world, of course, it's not in the margin over here, but it's Link on the boat sailing to the island.
Oh yeah,
and page 17 apparently in the PDF file.
Yeah,
that to me and the colors, that's Link's Awakening. Like,
oh yeah,
that's the vibe I get from it, and. That's a Game Boy / Switch game, and obviously, you would stick to the Game Boy, even though the Switch one is pretty close.
Yeah, that one is so close to where like you probably could make a guide that works for both of them because it's so close.
It really is one of the closer like 1-to-1 remakes. It really is just an update to assets and visual style, which is cool in its own way, but just
I think it shows the strength of that game too.
Yeah, I remember it was the first Zelda game I ever played. It was
oh wow.
I'll share. It was my grandmother had a Game Boy, and she had Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, which I still have.
Excellent game.
And I love it so much. And Bring the Carrot and the bunny, like the rabbit ear power up back. Like, bring that back. Come on.
Yeah.
But she also had Link's Awakening, and I think she gave them to me. But at the time, I was stuck somewhere with like the witch's hut. And my parents, they didn't let us dress up for Halloween. They made me get rid of all my Pokemon stuff. Like, so witches were not allowed in the house. And so they made me get rid of it. Now, my parents have since like acknowledged they had no idea what they were doing. We laugh about it. Like, there's no resentment here at all. But it's just, I always think of that game as like the witch game, and thinking about that, and just
it's a forbidden game.
Really, when the Switch version came out and you get to the witch, I took a picture and I sent it to my parents. I said, "Haha, look at me now."
Your mom, did they crack up? Were they?
Yeah, they did. So similar story with Pokemon, where they thought I was, and I probably was, honestly, I was probably too obsessed with Pokemon. And so their idea to like get me to keep that in check was to get rid of everything. And so the games, the toys, they made me shred my cards.
Oh my God. Did you tell them the thousands of dollars that you
every
shredded
time
that
I
day?
see when a Charizard a few months ago sold for like 300,000, I sent them the article. I said, "Here you go." I
Tough
had
love,
that.
Man. Woo. Shredding the cards.
It was brutal. It was a brutal day. And again, we laugh about it now, but when I want to say when I was 18, that's when they re-released it on the 3DS Virtual Console. It may have been a little later in life, but anyway, when it came to the 3DS, which was a big deal, Nintendo and Pokemon were making this huge deal, I made a bit more backstory. I used to make like PowerPoint presentations to say why I should be allowed to play a game. I did that with Pokemon when I was 13, and that's how I got Pokemon Diamond.
They were your guides. They were your beginning guides.
Pretty much. I really do wish I still had the files. Because I had one for Metal Gear Solid, I had Pokemon and Zelda. So
and would you would win them over with these? And they'd be like, okay.
I did for Zelda and Pokemon and Metal Gear.
Wow.
I would show them and explain to them, like, I'm old, and honestly, I was 13 and probably like 15 or something at the time. Like, it was fine. But anyway, bring this to, I'm between 18 and 20 years old when Pokemon's coming back. I made a Pokemon PowerPoint. as an adult to show them, and it's packed with jokes and references. Like one of the lines was, "There's no witches in the game," and at the end I joke about, how much is it going to cost you? Well, nothing, because I'm an adult and I can buy my own games.
That's great.
And I still have that PowerPoint, but I don't even know how we got here. The witch game. Anyway, you do have a lot of ground that you could cover with the NES still. Obviously, this seems so cool. I just bought from Limited Run Games like the Castlevania collection. So if you did Castlevania 2, like I have means to play that today. So yeah, that's another thing that I feel like is starting to become a factor as well. When I think about these, is like, how does someone play them? Like Castlevania, you have the collection now, so anyone can play Castlevania collection, so that's great. Or same with Mega Man. There's like Mega Man Legacy's like always on sale for like $5 or whatever, and it's on everything. So it's great that those games are back in rotation. It would be, I don't think I would ever do a game like Fazanadu or something where nobody knows what it is, and there's no way to play it unless you have a Nintendo, or you're just going to use an emulator or whatever. So it has to be something that has some weight behind it and it's still available. So that kind of limits me a little bit, but I mean, there's plenty. Yeah, and could you imagine if Nintendo brought back the Virtual Console properly, like it was in the Wii era? I feel like we didn't realize how good we had it with the Wii.
We did not. It was incredible. Even eventually Xbox 360 and PS3, their online stores became amazing by the end, but in the beginning their online stores kind of sucked, and the Wii was just like crushing them just with the Virtual Console. There was just so much. It was like every Tuesday you got like 3 games, and it was like you got a Super Nintendo game, you got a Genesis game, you even got like a TurboGrafx game. Like it was incredible.
I'm thinking about this because I see it every Wednesday. I think it is. Have you seen that on Twitter, the Wii Shop Wednesday song thing from?
Oh no.
I'll find it for you. It is so funny. I crack up, and some.
Oh, was it when they like singing? They're singing the song.
Yeah, they're singing the song.
Yeah. It's just all these obscure games. Yeah, and they're kind of like making fun of it, but at the same time, it's like, no, this is awesome. All these games are.
All these games were purchasable and playable on one system. Yeah. And they had the Genesis, the TurboGrafx.
Look, you could argue I could go buy that. There's like that Genesis pack for Switch. You can get like 60 games or whatever. So you can argue that these things are still there, but I guess it just feels different if you're in the mood to just play one game, and you can buy it for $5 or whatever. Yeah, we didn't know how good we had it.
Well, at least pertaining to your guides, at least I know Zelda and Metroid are on Nintendo Switch Online.
Yes.
So that's I don't even know how many subscribers that has, but clearly there's an install base for Metroid, and Zelda should be easy to get to.
Yeah, I think so. And there's so many ways to play. Maybe they have an NES Classic, It's Metroid's been reprinted so many times, and as I was informed, actually, I had an interview the other day, and I completely forgot that Metroid was on. It's on Zero Mission. I forgot that. I just played Zero Mission like a year ago, and I didn't even see it. I guess because I just played the game, and when I was done, that was it. I didn't like actually go into the options or anything like that. Yeah.
No, I remember that as a kid. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah.
It was so cool. And then you'd look up and you're like, what are the cheat codes for this game? It's like, here's how you get Samus in the bathing suit thing, which was iconic. So I miss that kind of stuff. It makes it feel like it just doesn't take itself quite so seriously. I feel like a lot of games today take themselves too seriously.
Oh yeah.
And you lose a lot of that video game charm. And don't get me wrong, I love games like The Last of Us, which are arguably one of the end all be all most serious kind of games.
Oh yeah.
But I was just playing God of War, and when you beat that game, you unlock costumes, and one of them is Kratos in a cow suit, and it's called and it's just silly and goofy, and he swings. I don't know what the cow suit swings around, but one's like a business suit, and he swings briefcases, and it's just
that's cool.
It's so video. It feels like a video game, and I kind of miss that, and so it's nice. Well, I'm waxing poetic here, and the last thing I really wanted to hit on is Nintendo is actually acknowledging an anniversary of their game series, and it seems like they're treating Metroid better than they are Zelda. They're actually tweeting out on anniversaries. They're promoting old games. Not that anyone can play them, like we talked about.
Right.
But Metroid Dread comes out in October, like super close. A brand new 2D Metroid game, and I'm just curious. It really couldn't have lined up better for you, I really don't think, to have Metroid and a new game. But how do you feel just about Metroid Dread coming back into, Metroid back?
I mean, I'm pumped. It's awesome. And I think the reason they're going so hard on social media is because, I mean, it's kind of been going back to my thoughts earlier. Like, it's 35 years worth of lore. Like, if there's any franchise, I know people hate remakes and reboots and stuff. If there's any franchise that's just like in dire need of some kind of refresh to get people pumped again, it's probably something like Metroid, just because there's so much lore. But they're doing their damnedest to catch everybody up.
Right.
So I think that's great, So, yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's great that they've been talking about it. And I think that's probably the reason why they're hitting on it so hard, because it's like, this is Metroid 5, guys. It's 5. And they're just really... Now, luckily with like Prime, the Prime lore has always been very... I always kind of considered Prime non-canon, and I feel like Nintendo does as well. It just kind of seems like this thing that exists in its own world. And I love those games, but like, you don't need to know anything about those. It seems like they're just... It looks like they skipped Other M. They don't even want to talk about that, which I actually like. I like Other M.
I do too.
Oh, good. All right. So there we go. I can say that without like getting attacked.
No, I mean, you and I together may be attacked, but it's just... I mean, Other M, I thought the perspective was so unique. Not so much narratively, but the actual gameplay perspective of this like isometric 2D/3D. It was so cool. Like everyone, and I thought it was fast paced. It's been a while since I've played it.
Yeah,
but
the shooting is fun. Like it's a cool, it's a cool game. It's a cool game, but
Other M is okay.
Everybody gets it's got cool bosses and stuff. I like how she's got all these. They made her cool. Like she's wrestling creatures to the ground and blasting them in the face. It's like, oh, this is awesome. I want more of that. And it looks like they're doing that kind of stuff. Well, they did a little of that in Samus Returns, but it looks like they're doing that in Dread as well. Like there's that gif where she's like grabbing that monster by the tail and she's just like pulling it. Like it's awesome.
It gives you that bounty hunter vibe. Like she really is this trained killer.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I love that kind of stuff. I like seeing... she's got the gun. She's always blasting everything. So I like when she has a little bit more like hand-to-hand melee moments where, she's just beating the snot out of things.
Mm-hmm. Do you use, did you look at other games and things and whatnot to help you design, visually draw out Samus and the things that she would be doing and stuff? Or is this all kind of... I mentioned... I like the, like I mentioned, I like the idea of her fighting things. So with, the Ridley and Kraid stuff in the book, I have her getting a little more physical with them because I think that's cool. I mean, it's short. It's nothing, I don't want to get you too hyped or whatever, but I like that kind of stuff. So I tried to do that. So yeah, and as far as the art, I looked at a lot of the original art for the Famicom version of the game. And I guess I use some of that art here too, but I use that as kind of the look of it. No, cool. Back to Dread. This is sorry, listeners. Slight tangent.
Yeah, sorry.
What do you? No, it popped in my head. What do you think about the art style in Dread?
I like it. I think it looks cool. I think there, like, a lot of people, when it came out, or, when the trailer came out, they said, this looks like a 3DS game. But it's like, no, why don't you go look at Samus Returns again? Because that looks like a 3DS game, and this looks awesome. Like, not that Samus Returns doesn't look awesome, but it looks like a 3DS game. And it looks super cool. Like, I'm completely into it.
Yeah. To me, it's what Fusion would look like if they remade Fusion today.
Yeah.
Like I get a lot, and not just the blue in her suit, but I get Fusion laboratory cold kind of vibes from this game. It doesn't feel as like Super Metroid. I think feels, maybe this isn't, I don't know. It feels humid in a way, like it's dense and it's alive and breathing, and there's like heat, and not just in Norfair, but like the planet feels alive. And then Zero Mission just feels foreign, kind of new worldish, and Samus Returns, that felt, how would I describe it? That just felt so new and like technological, especially since it was being remade and it's like this planet and factory and things. But I like the look of this game. I think it's going to be sweet. I really can't wait for it.
And you know what? They're clearly only showing us like one area, so I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of. It's not just going to look like the lab setting, I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of stuff. There's going to be, look, she's going to need the Varia suit. There's going to be fire. So,
it has to happen.
Yeah, there's got to be a gravity suit, so there's going to be some water. Like these things are going to be there.
You would hope.
Yeah, and if they're not, if they actually make up something new, that would be really awesome. But no, I'm totally stoked for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm so jazzed. The whole pre-order situation, because I wanted that steel book.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I tried.
I've pounced on a Target, so I have one at Target, but I also wanted the amiibo because I have Metroid and Shovel Knight are the only sets I have like complete, and I found Amazon Japan, to bring it back to Amazon, apparently ships to the US, and so I have a bundle there. So I'm kind of holding on. I'm holding on to both in case Japan cancels on me, so I don't lose, but I'm fingers crossed. I may not get the game on launch day, but
but you'll get it.
I'll get my amiibo,
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm so excited for it. Yeah, thanks. Good luck to you, because it sounds like you have a. Well, actually, is the book done?
The book is basically done. So I said in the video, it's done. I need to make like a contents page, and I need to number the pages, like little things, but it's done. It's completely like I could hand you a PDF of it, and it would be the book.
Cool. Well, good luck with the rest of this Kickstarter. It's going on right now. As folks are listening to this, it goes until September 5th, according to Kickstarter page. It says all or nothing. I think we've hit all.
Yes. Yeah.
23 days to go as of recording, with over 3,000 backers, and just shy of $200,000. I mean, again, congratulations. This is incredible.
You so much. Thank you.
You have made something truly special, and I don't think Nintendo's going to come down on you. I feel like it already would have happened. So I think you should feel okay about that. I mean, I guess you won't really know until maybe I'm confident. Not that I have any say in that matter at all.
That lawyer's been on vacation for like 2 weeks. This is his 2-week vacation. So when he gets back on Monday, he'll be ready to get me.
He's gonna have emails going, "Did you see this Kickstarter? It's at 200. Where's our cut?" Yeah, I hope not. I really hope not. But thank you so much for joining me, Phil. I really appreciate your time and sharing with me this whole creative process. It's so cool. Cool.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for having me. It was fun.
Oh, of course. Listeners, if you would like to find the Kickstarter, if you'd like to go check it out and back it, there will be a link in the show notes. I think that's the best way to describe it. The account on Kickstarter, if you would care to look, I believe is Philip Summers. So you can go look that up. Creator of hand-drawn game guides. I'm sure if you search for that, it'll pop up on Kickstarter, or you can click the link in the show notes. Philip's on Twitter at HeyPhilSummers. I believe it's the same handle. Yep, on Instagram, if you'd like to see some art stuff there. And I was, like I said, scrolling through that earlier, and it's some pretty good stuff there. So definitely go check those out if you would like. You can follow myself on Twitter at MaxRoberts143. Check out my writing over at maxfrequency.net. If you'd like to read or listen to the history of Naughty Dog during the PS4 era, you can go to chasingthestick.com or check it out at maxfrequency.net. And I have another podcast, a seasonal podcast where we play through a series of games, bouncing back and forth, exploring their evolution, design, and legacy. That's called Chapter Select. We just wrapped up season 1, which was all about Paper Mario. So if you'd like to listen to that, you can go to chapterselect.com or /season 1 if you want to go straight to Paper Mario. But thank you so much for listening. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for having me, Max.
Thanks, Phil.
Matt! Yeah? Update day!
What?
New Wii titles.
What? I'm in the bathroom.
Update day for the Wii shopping channel. It's funny because normally they do it at midnight, but it's like 11. It's like 11:15. What time is it in Japan? Fucking turn that up. I love that grooving. What kind of music is that? Like a bossa nova beat?
Makes me really want to just croon it.
This is such a danceable song. You know what we should do? We should write a song for our act with titles of Wii games.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Because everybody knows about the Wii Shopping Channel,
Yeah.
and everybody loves to shop on it every Wednesday. So what we'll do is we'll write a theme song for the Wii Shopping Channel. Watch this. Watch this. You can sing to the titles of the Super Mario RPG, Super Mario 3, Mega Man, Neo Turf Masters, Breakin' Star. You know what I mean, Jared?
Yeah.
Like every start, you say the lyrics of the.
Let me try. Super Mario RPG, Sonic the Hedgehog, Donkey Kong 3, Adventures of Lolo 1 and 2, King's Knight, Dig Dug, Juman Fu, Harvest Moon.
You write this song?
Link Puzzle Pokemon, Toe Jam and Earl and Panic on Funkotron. Castlevania, Fatal Fury, Ninja Chuchu, Mario Comet, Razor Blazing, Lasers, Basis Loaded, Mega Turrican, Cybernator, Rolling Thunder, Dynastic Hero, Bubble Bobble, Double Dragon F-Zero.
I get it. You memorize the song.
Zero X and Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Ninja Gaiden 1, Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden 3. Cruising USA.